What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. And as you noticed, we have been talking a little bit about, what happened if you failed this exam cycle. And we've been chatting a little bit about, what you should do with your results. Why did you fail, and actually deep diving why you failed. Now, the next step. What do you
The
do
third,
next?
really quickly, the third part in the trilogy.
Yeah, the third part of the trilogy, the Matrix trilogy. Side note, do you like the Matrix?
I've never watched it, so I have no idea.
So I was chatting with my buddy the other day. Actually, my girlfriend brought this up. She just got a new job, and they were trying to work about like their like childhood movie. And somebody was like, The Matrix. I'm like, I like The Matrix, but it wasn't like, oh my God, that was the craziest movie
Yeah,
of
like
all
your
time.
favorite movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more of a Rocky Four type of guy. I'm more impressed by
Yeah.
Rocky running up a mountain than Neo dodging bullets.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anyway, side note. Um, what do we do next? Okay, so I failed. I'm going to decide when I'm going to take it again. I'm going to figure out why I failed. Now I'm deciding, okay, when do I do it again? What are some of the things that have to be changed, adjusted, so we're not in the same exact position as we were the first time around?
Mhm.
What do you think, Dan?
I mean, it's going to depend on honestly what you diagnose as why you weren't successful the first time. So again, it's not going to be like a cookie cutter answer, like you're going to do this next time around, and you know what, you're going to pass. It's all going to depend. I think one of the first things that you need to think about is, you need to adjust most likely your strategy, your prep process, your schedule. Just because I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is in their their process and the schedule that they make for themselves to pass or to prep for the exam. So I think the first thing, that I did was I adjusted the way I approached my studying and the way I approached my prep, whether that was when I studied, what I studied, how I studied, what review courses I possibly took, who I studied with. Like that to me is the first thing that comes top of mind, where this is what you probably need to adjust the next time you take it.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think the first thing that I would say is like, okay, you're gonna start deciding, what to do next, or how you're gonna change this next time around. And I would always kind of caveat this with three things. Number one, be honest with yourself. Number two, be disciplined. And number three, get help. Okay, so here,
Get help.
get help. Okay, so here's the thing. Whatever you did the first time around probably didn't work if you're sitting here and watching this. So you got to change either your approach or the way that you are studying or how you spread it out. So, you know, like we said in the Why Did I Fail video, and if you haven't watched that, please go ahead and watch that video as well, is, what did you have a good study schedule? Were you able to mentally handle that study schedule? Because having a good study schedule is one thing, because you can have a good study schedule by kind of just manipulating math. I get 2 hours here, I get 1 hour here, I get 4 hours here. But that, study schedules are static. They don't take into account how mentally and physically fatigued. Like, I follow a workout program, and sometimes I got to cut down that workout program because I'm like, I'm old and this shit hurts. Like, I can't do it all. So I got to cut it down because, the program, whatever they write in terms of a program doesn't take into account how I'm going to feel doing this program and what my lifestyle is outside of this program. So I got to manipulate this a bit to what I can handle, what I can do. So you got to be really, really, really honest with yourself so you can plan accordingly. Okay, because the point you don't want to be is putting a square peg in a round hole. Right. And this is something that I thought that, you did well, David, as you came in, you said, you're like, I need time to get things. Like I need multiple cracks at it. That was a good, honest assessment of yourself to go, I need this repetition. Okay, then you're going to need more time to prep because you're going to
Mhm.
want to give yourself, and you don't want to be pressured in doing that. Like
Right.
learning under a gun is tough, and you want to have time to come back and repeat that. So if you know that that's the way that you study, that that studying 3 hours a day is not going to work for you, don't study 3 hours a day. Study
Right.
2 hours, but give yourself a longer time to do it. So you got to be honest with yourself. And then whatever you do choose, you got to show up. Okay. Uh, you played sports in high school, yeah?
Mhm.
Okay. Like, remember when our coaches would make us do things that you thought were just like so dumb?
Yeah.
Like, oh man, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this walkthrough? And then you get
Right.
to the game and you're like, oh, I know why we did that because now I'm performing. And I feel like that's with studying, a lot of people misinterpret boring things with things that I don't need to do. I'm not necessarily going to get a direct correlation from doing my flashcards to scoring well on the test. A lot of people are like, flashcards are going to put me over. I'm really happy you made me do that over and over and over again because there's this question and 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 this question that I was able to knock out because I just remember it from my flashcards. Boring. Doesn't feel like you're doing anything. There's nothing that you can quantify out of flashcards. But it's some of that boring stuff that needs to be done day in and day out. Like me and my girlfriend every morning go for a walk. Okay, we go for a 2 mile walk every single morning. It's boring. I tell most people they're like, "You're so old." And I'm like, it is such a great way for me to start the day because it gets my body loose and I'm not looking at my phone first thing in the morning. I get a little sunlight. The days that I don't do it, I feel like garbage,
Right. Right.
right?
Exactly.
And it's such a simple, easy thing to do where it's like, it's like stretching for 10 minutes a day. Are you going to get flexible from one day of stretching? No. But when
Mhm.
if you are a person who's done it and then you stop, you realize how fast your flexibility goes away when you don't stretch. And you're like, how is this simple 5 minute activity getting me this much results? And that's the point, is that studying, we mistake that when we're doing something for long periods of time that it must be working. And you discount that if I do something for a short period of time that doesn't feel great, like I bend down and touch my toes every day. All of a sudden, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later of doing that every day, all of a sudden I can get my palms to the ground and I can stretch a little more and a little more. How is this simple activity? Because something done consistently is better than something done once in a while.
Mhm.
And anybody who's gotten good at something will tell you it's doing that boring
The-
stuff every day. Stuff you don't even want to do it, and you think about it, you're like, this has no material effect. And sometimes those have the biggest effect. So I think, again, if you're that person that wasn't doing some of that boring stuff every single day, probably it. What do you think about
Yeah.
that? What's your take on it?
100%. And I would say that that is something small and something boring that, to be honest with you, I feel like that's on it. That's one of your, when you come to go through a Jonas and course, that's one of like the absolute principles. You talk about that no matter what the topic is on this podcast. You're always talking about the repetition and doing the small, like boring things. And I do feel like a lot of people that have not been successful on this exam probably overlook that stuff. And when you instill that, I mean, I definitely did for sure. And that's something that I definitely did the second time around when I was ultimately successful taking. So yeah, no, I think that you're spot on, especially when you call it like boring stuff that most people don't want to do and they don't even see what the reason for it is.
Right.
But you will when you get the result.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I, I'm I was swiftly reminded of this. I started this new training program, and we do these really boring, annoying exercises every day. Right? There's one shoulder exercise where you raise your hand up to the side, you bring it forward, you raise it above your head, you bring it back down, you go here and back. And it is a supplementary exercise that you do to help all the little muscles inside of your shoulders.
Mhm.
You don't realize how valuable doing stuff like that is until you lift a big weight over your head.
Right.
And you're sitting there going, how could something so boring and so annoying end up leading to my shoulders being more flexible, in less pain, and stronger? I'm literally using 10-pound dumbbells on it, David, and I'm sweating doing this dumb exercise that, and I'm like grunting, and I'm like, I look like an idiot in the gym.
Right. Right.
But then when I put, when I put a significantly heavy weight over my head, which is like, I haven't put 300 pounds over my head in years. It was because of those types of exercises that got me there. I'm like, wow, I feel so foolish. Like, yeah, and even me knowing that, like, I feel so foolish. And it wasn't until again, a coach reminding me that, hey, you can't just come in and go work really, really hard for 60 minutes,
Mhm.
3 or 4 times a week, and expect that you're going to get more fit. You get more fit from sometimes doing the boring work. On every
Yeah.
Wednesday, I take a 45-minute bike ride in the morning at my heart rate at 120 beats per minute. It's nothing glamorous about it, but it works. It's
Yeah.
helping my cardio get better because I just sit there and I go around town on my bike, and it's like, but again, like, there's nothing glamorous about that. And it's so easy for me to mentally just check out. I'm like, oh, it's not really that. I'm not even working that hard. So it must not be working. And that's a misconception. And if you're not getting there on your own and you can't figure that out, then get help. Look for a tutor, look for a review course, work with me, don't work with me, just go work with somebody. If you're not getting to this place on your own, sometimes you need a voice to calm you down and to kick you in the ass, because it's rarely where we can self coach as individuals. I say this about myself all the time. I am the worst coach for me because I'll either push myself way too hard and get really discouraged, or not push myself hard enough and get really discouraged. Either way, I end up really discouraged, and I'm rarely can I find that balance for myself, because sometimes I come in a mood. I'm like, I don't want to work out today. Sometimes I come in, I'm like, yeah, let's go, and somebody's gonna be like, yo, chill out, like, stop trying to do every exercise because you feel good today. And it helps me stay disciplined and consistent, because there are days that I'm going to want to do more and there's days that I'm not sure we want to do less, and I got to stay in that middle ground. So
Mhm.
if that is working with a private tutor or a small group or being in a group class or going to a review, do something that's going to get you there and pay
Mhm.
the money. Like, number one, all of us who are taking CFP, I understand that this is not a small investment, and I don't want to be disrespectful of it, but pony up the cash and do it, because this is an investment of yourself. And you got to be willing to invest yourself to get good results. Because what a tutor will do, or what a review class, or just being in that environment, it's going to speed up your learning curve dramatically, and it's worth the money. So pony up the cash. Stop being cheap. Pony up the cash,
Mhm.
because I when I took level 3, I invested tons of cash into that, right? And I hired tutors for level 3 of CFA because I was like, I can figure this out on my own, or I can help me somebody where I'm going to put in. I still got to put in the effort, but they can speed up my learning curve. That 20% that I get stuck on, that I'm not getting, that it's sticky, it's not really clicking, they sped up that learning curve for me. and I probably invested more cash than I want to admit into that exam. Again, when you start putting money into the process, it's also going to make you more accountable.
Okay.
Okay. And that is the most important part of this process. So you got to stay accountable. So be honest with yourself, stay disciplined, and get the help that you need.
New consensus for our.
There you go.
And then if you have any questions or concerns, always feel free to reach out to David or myself. Anything else, David?
Models, because they're showing.
What's up?
consensus and they're
Anything else you
trying
want to punctuate that in?
advisory revenue
No,
number to the
you
market
touched on
share.
everything. You did a great job this episode. You crushed
Does that make sense?
it.
Okay.
All right, man. We'll see you guys as always. Any questions, concerns, hit us up. And we'll see you guys very soon.